Thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. President, Germany, hey guys, come on, thank you, let's go guys, thank you, let's go. Thank you, come on, let's go. Hey, let's go guys, thank you. Guys, let's go, come on, let's move. Move, please, let's go, thank you. Come on guys, let's go, come on.
Where the Chancellor stands right now when it comes to including Nord Stream 2 in potential sanctions if Russia pipeline on hold.
Well, I know you all will have the opportunity, I'm sure, ask him this question.
Well, I'll take a couple questions each. Reuters, Andrea.
You didn't mention it just now by name, nor did Chancellor Scholz. Did you receive assurances from Chancellor Scholz today that Germany will in fact pull the plug on this project if Russia invades Ukraine? And did you discuss what the definition of invasion could be?
Let me answer the first question first. If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly, since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control?
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it. But I'm not joking when I say this. If you're ever working with me and I hear you treat another colleague with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot. On the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts. Everybody.
The fact that Dr. Linder has a job still cheapen the president's promise to fire anyone who treats colleagues with disrespect on the spot.
Respectful work environment incredibly seriously. And Dr. Lander, obviously, his behavior was inappropriate and corrective actions needed to be taken, and that was clearly conveyed through this process.
The investigation found credible evidence of multiple women having complained to other staff about negative interactions with him, with a pattern of abusive and disrespectful behavior. Again, the president, at the outset of this administration, said, I will fire you on the spot, no ifs, ands, or buts. So why is he not being fired?
This is not acceptable behavior. Dr. Lander is expected to comply, and he will be monitored for compliance.
But are there ways in which he's being held to account if he's not being fired?
I think you may have also seen, or it was reported, that he also sent a note to his staff conveying his commitment to abiding by that.
It doesn't sound like a zero tolerance policy, if that's the case.
Well, our objective and the president's objective is to prevent this behavior from ever happening again.
So, go ahead.
President Biden said he would fire anyone that treated other colleagues with disrespect, talk down to someone, and he would fire them on the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts. So what is the White House's message to people that work in this building and throughout the federal government that took the president at his word and don't understand why Dr. Lander has not been fired?
It is because of those comments that he made early on, in part, that we put in place a safe and respectful workplace policy.
Those weren't comments, those were a promise.
Absolutely. That's why we put in place a policy to ensure there is a mechanism for investigating and a mechanism for preventing this type of behavior from repeating itself.
He promised to fire people that did this, and he hasn't fired. The individual the White House found violated what he said.
I understand it, and again, let me just reiterate, nothing about his behavior is acceptable to anyone here.
Federal employees shouldn't expect that people will be fired if they treat colleagues with disrespect.
Again, I think I've outlined very clearly what the process was. Go ahead.
It's legal. That's
Two questions for you, excuse me.
It's more than that. I think it's clear that we put in place a process, an internal process.
$91, more than $91 a barrel. Is there any consideration in the administration to reversing any of the policies or regulations or removing some to encourage more drilling in the U.S. for future demand?
Well, let me tell you what we are doing. Of course, we tapped the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Sometimes that takes some time to be digested into the system. I don't believe they are.
What about encouraging the investment in drilling in other places in the U.S.?
again, I think the president's view is that we are, it is a huge advantage to us to be a leader in the clean energy transition. And over the course of years and decades, we've become a clean energy superpower because ultimately that's not just where the jobs are, it's where the strategic advantage will lie in 10, 20, 30 years.
The high energy prices have been putting a strain on households on both sides of the Atlantic. Europe, you have seen prices go through the roof. Of course, tensions between Russia and Ukraine pose threats to the energy security of the European Union and our friends and partners. And all of this, to your point, underscores the benefits of clean energy. This is not just an energy and climate issue. It also is potentially the greatest peace plan that ever existed, to be able to build out energy independence from clean energy.
When we were very recently energy independent in this country.
Oil is a global price. Now, a few months ago, the president released 50 million gallons from the strategic reserve, and certainly that helped matters. If that's something we have to look back again at, we will.
Oil and gasoline prices have only gone up since then.
No, in fact, prices fell by about 10% a gallon around that period.
They're now above that level.
Yes, gas prices are going to go up and down as they always were. This is a global price. That is precisely what this labor market is delivering.
And that's worrisome. Again, with due respect, I don't mean to cut you off, but I asked a simple question. What is the White House plan to bring oil and gasoline prices down for the American consumer?
And I'm giving you what I believe is a simple answer. So you're pulling out one variable, one global price, and saying, look, only at that. I'm telling you there's a lot
price that American families deal with every single day
to look at here.
Why isn't it done yet? If Germany is as on board with the rest of the NATO alliance as they're projecting to be.
Sure. Well, Jackie, I mean, as we've said before, one, I think there is alignment that we will work with Germany to ensure that Nord Stream 2 does not move forward, which is obviously a key.
Are you saying that the Germans have committed not to bring Nord Stream 2 online if Russia invades?
Well, again, I'm not going to get into the private diplomatic conversations.
And that you may have to withdraw Sarah Raskin. There's just been another dust up overnight.
She is one of the most, if not the most qualified person to ever be nominated to this position. She just gave extensive answers at a hearing last week, and she would be someone the president would be proud to have in that role, as independent as it may be.
Particular mandates set out by law. But I know about all that, but did you mean it? You said it. Here it is. Big as Dallas. I read the op-ed. Should not be choosing winners and losers. Yes, ma'am. So you disagree with the editorial? The editorial was one that I wrote, and I wrote it in the context of to any particular sector. So you changed your mind? I have made myself completely clear. The whole point of the op-ed payers to undo risk.
Senator Kennedy, your time's expired.
Well, no,
Regarding Dr. Lander, I wondered if he should have been reprimanded more strongly, given the president's fire anybody who mistreated.
When the complaint was filed, a full and thorough investigation was conducted.
Period of time. How can you be sure that this reprimand will stick?
And compliance with the recommendations will be required in this regard.
What's traditional about the process? And then what is very unique to the process because of the historical nature? If you can tell us, and I'm sure you can give us something.
No, it's a good question. It's a very thoughtful question. I was just trying to. There you go. I walked right into that one. What is unique about this moment? I want to read your article about this to hear what you have to say.
We got a lot of articles already.
Okay, your next article about it. I think it's safe to say that there are some criticisms that have been out there without any names being confirmed that are unique to having the possibility, the likelihood, the plan for a woman of color being nominated for